So, you wake up to the sound of giggling and bouncing on a trampoline. You roll over, grab your phone, look at the time, 3:15 a.m. This is the third night in a row. You've got work in the morning, they've got ABA or school in the morning. What are you going to do? Let's get into it. Okay, so this is going to be a video on sleep, ideas to help. And we're going to go over just some tips and tricks that I found out in my own experience, that I've heard other people use. And sleep is a huge problem, a huge issue. If the kid's not getting it, if you're not getting it, everyone is affected. Everything is affected. They're not learning because they're tired, or maybe they're happy and crazy at 2:30 in the morning, and you're completely drained, you're missing work, your boss is yelling at you, whatever it is, all of it. Everything starts with sleep. So here's some of the ideas that we have already. So let's talk about preparation. Preparation for bed. I don't know what the situation is if you have multiple kids, or if you just have the one, or if your kids have their own rooms. That's one thing I would definitely recommend, trying to get your autistic little guy or girl in their own room. That's going to make things a lot easier. I mean, obviously. So, or in your room. I did that with mine, and then I would just sneak in there. So let's talk about preparation. Biggest thing is routine. Our kids love routine, right? All kids benefit from routine, but ours love it. So let's talk about routine. You're going through your same usual stuff every night before bed. Bath time, getting in pajamas, brushing teeth, all the same things, all the same time, right? And eventually that gets them, my daughter now, she's 5, right after brushing teeth, which she still doesn't like brushing teeth, she will sometimes go into bed herself. Just go in and lay down, which is cute. But it wasn't always like that, I can tell you. So let's talk about screen time. The people have had a lot of success with limiting screen time before bed, like an hour before bed, right? And then what I would add to that is, what I do is I'll start turning, like maybe we have all the lights on in the place. I'll start turning lower lights on, or even, just like the light above the stove in the kitchen, getting the light low. I'll lower the volume of the TV, that if she's still watching Danny Go or whatever it is, or one of her shows. So I'll start doing all of that about an hour before bed. Just kind of getting things relaxed and chill. And I know that if you have multiple children, that this is going to be hard. I'm sure it would be more difficult to achieve that kind of thing. But just an idea for you to maybe try and figure out something out, get them involved with it, because I'm sure it's affecting them too. So yeah, just kind of setting the vibe, like bedtime vibe. We're getting there, and then they will associate that with bedtime later on, as the more and more you keep doing it. So also let's talk about environment. As I already mentioned, are they sleeping with siblings in the same room? That's going to be difficult, obviously, right? Let's talk about noise level outside of their room. I keep things very quiet. If I do watch a show or something, it's super quiet. These are all really obvious things that you guys probably know and already do, or maybe you don't. Or do you have other kids that are being noisy in their downstairs room, and maybe your child with autism is hearing this and it's keeping them awake, or you catch them giggling to themselves because they heard something downstairs, or whatever it is. Just be aware of these things. And then I know when my daughter was a little baby, we had all the cool little lights for going to bed, and songs and nursery rhymes and all that stuff, and we stopped that probably the age 2 to 3 area, and we got rid of all that. And it's no light, as dark as possible, and white noise, or what I have is just like a little tower fan blowing, which also brings us to like temperature. Now, our little ones can't tell us if they're hot or cold, obviously. It depends on how they're sleeping. Are they in really warm pajamas and it's 90 degrees outside? Like, these are things we have to keep in mind as well. I know my daughter runs a little warm, so I'll crank up the AC a little bit, maybe even have the fan kind of blowing on her. She loves it, sleeps like a rock. The kid just, sometimes you pull the comforter off and you can just feel the heat coming off of her. And it's not a fever or anything. When it's a fever, you can really feel it. But mine runs a little warm. Maybe yours runs cold or also runs warm. But just something to be aware of, the temperature in the room, in the environment. Okay, so let's say you do all of this, it still isn't working. Let's talk about sleep meds. So first up, melatonin, which apparently you have to have a prescription to get in the UK, which is wild. Anyway, a lot of people have had success with melatonin, a lot of parents, but then there's a lot of other parents like me where it was a nightmare. Melatonin, she would knock out and then be up 4 hours later, 2:30 in the morning, and she's just wild and crazy and happy and ready to play. Or she gets out and is digging through the kitchen drawers and playing with stuff and running around all crazy, and it's 3:15 in the morning, second night in a row. Melatonin did not work for us. And then also there's other people, but like I said, it may work for your kid. If they start waking up in the middle of the night after like 4 hours, 5 hours, then it's not working. It's not an option. Can't continue that way. Also, there's a lot of people that have talked about kids having nightmares on melatonin. It's pretty common, that common kind of side effect with that. So another option, and this is the one that I use, is magnesium. So you can get it in gummies or pills. I don't know if they have chewables. That would be great, but I'm not really sure. But it basically helps kids stay asleep. And a lot of times magnesium comes from leafy greens, I believe, so we should all really be taking it. And for sure, our kids aren't probably, if your kid is anything like my kid, she's not sitting there munching on lettuce. Not one of her favorite foods. Not one of her safe foods. So it helps kids stay asleep, and it doesn't really make them tired, but it helps them stay asleep once they fall asleep. So, and usually if you're stopping naps, which is also a big one, if you're doing naps and having problems with sleep, shouldn't be napping. I know you want that break during the day, I get it, but it's time. Can't do it. We even stopped it at like 2.5 because of the problems that were cropping up. So, helps them stay asleep. A side effect of it, or another thing that people take it for, is it softens stool. It's kind of like a diuretic, which in my case with my child actually ended up being a good thing because we had a problem with constipation quite a bit. And once she started the magnesium, it was helping get those poops out. I don't know how your kid is. If you're already having problems with diarrhea, then magnesium that's gonna be a hot caca problem that it might not work for you. So but a lot of people it has worked for. And then now if neither of these work, now you're getting to the area where you have to contact a doctor. So there's a drug out there called clonidine with a C, and a lot of parents have had success with that. It's not a sleep med technically, it's a blood pressure medication. But in order to get it, you're going to need to go see your doctor or your kid's doctor, and then you're going to have to get a referral to a sleep specialist and see that doctor. And then you might be able to get the clonidine. And a lot of parents have had success with that, and it helping their kids sleep and getting through the night. So now if none of these work, then you're getting into the area of, I have heard of parents getting trazodone for their kids. And there may be other drugs that I'm missing out there. You'll have to kind of do a little bit more research if you get to that area of where you're going to have to actually use sleep meds. But I assume that trazodone was for older kids because it is a harder sleep medication. Once again, you are also going to have to see your doctor and go to a sleep specialist to get it. So I hope that some of these help, because sometimes it really is something that simple. Or maybe if you're worried about the child being in pain, try a little Tylenol. If they sleep better, then you know they're in pain somewhere. Correct? So then you just have to narrow down the area of what is paining them, what's going on with that. So, and be aware of teeth. If they're really little, are they teething? If they're a little older, are their adult teeth coming in? You know, stuff like that. So it's always kind of a search and find what the issue is, but we're good at it, right? We're experts on our own kids. So hopefully some of these help, because sleep is super important. Once you get that down, a lot of times it's easy for people to get overwhelmed with all of the stuff you already have to do with these kids, and then you're just normal day-to-day life. Not getting sleep on a regular basis is going to make everything 10 times worse. Getting sleep down is super important. Getting sleep down, and then, you know, after that, constipation. If a kid is constipated, they're not going to be able to concentrate or learn anything in their therapies. If they're tired from being up from 2:30 in the morning till 7, they're not going to learn anything in their therapies. So getting this stuff down and figured out, super important. And once you do, you'll start to see things get better. That's how it was with my daughter. But once we got the sleeping down, and she's been doing great with sleeping, rarely anything happens. If something does happen, she just wakes up like maybe 6:30 instead of 7:38. She wakes up a little early. Maybe the occasional day she'll wake up at 5:30. That's not so bad. That's not the level of waking up at 2:30 in the morning, you know, an ungodly hour, giggling like a maniac, running through the kitchen. You know what I mean? And you're all sitting there making coffee like, oh my God, not again. So got to get that sleep down. Hopefully these help, and I'll be making more videos if I find anything else. All right.